And thanks for joining us for another edition of Weekend Winners, special edition as well, because we are here to preview Garrard Sunshine Sprint Race Night. 11 races. Tab have come to the party with some big jackpots. First 4 jackpots on the main races, the Hayden, the Golden Girl and the Sunshine Sprint. So that's something else to consider when doing all of the form for this Saturday night. What a meeting it's going to be, what a race this is going to be. The track record 149.2, held by Black Sedans, who lines up in the Sunshine Sprint. Race record 150.4, set by I'm the Mighty Quinn back in 2014. The surprise starter in this Saturday night's Garrard Sunshine Sprint is the Boom horse Leap to Fame. Brilliant last week, taking out the Rising Sun. The original plan to go from the Rising Sun to next week's Grand Circuit race, the Blacks Are Fake. But here he is lining up again, and as a result, he's now chasing history, looking to become the first horse to do the big treble. The Rising Sun, the Sunshine Sprint, and the Blacks Are Fake. Can he do it? Time will tell. Can they break the record? Time will tell. It's an awesome program here on Saturday night at Albion Park. I've got the guys back with me to break down all of these features. Darren, Clayton, Ryan, Spice. Darren, this is going to be a great card of racing, and first and foremost, the track record. Does it go by the wayside?
Yeah, the way the race profiles, I think it does. You know, that mark that Black Sedans holds, it's in serious danger, and I think the sign rider can get his pencil ready. Okay,
Ryan, what about last week, Leap to Fame? He was just awesome, demolishing that field in the Rising Sun. This is another step up. Someone said during the week it's like going from NRL level last week, now he's at State of Origin level, so it's another rise again. Does he handle it?
Absolutely, he handles it. I think he is clearly the horse to beat, and I think they'll give the track record a shake.
Okay, 240 immediately after the barrier draw. He's hovering around that $1.80 mark. Is that about the right quote?
I think $1.80 is good shopping still.
Okay, he's the horse to beat.
Absolutely.
Okay, so drawn out there in gate 6, and he's got a stack of speed drawn to his inside. It's going to be very interesting to see how Darren maps this race coming through a little bit later. We're going to preview all of these big races coming up in just a moment. The first of our features is the Group 3 Trotters Sprint, proudly brought to you by Pride's Easy Feed. And this is going to be a good race. The Trotters over the mile, behind the mobile. I'm sure they're set to run some fast time. Sugar and Spice lands the inside gate. Adele, as we know, RODM, so she starts on the outside of the second row. One of the interesting horses that didn't gain a start here at this point is Smoke and Bandar. Was this an easy race to map, Darren, because Sugar and Spice is drawn to lead from the inside?
Yeah, the way she fires out of the gate, Pete McMullen on, it pretty much sets up for her in front. I think the working out what happens around that then is the tough part. Red Castleton, really good. He's been a frontline runner before, but he's really good save for one trip. So they can probably hustle through, get him on the back of Sugar and Spice. What happens on the outside then? Well, Van Sank, he's a really good gate speed horse himself. Hasn't raced at Albion Park for quite a few months now. He campaigned down at Menangle. He's come back, he's trialled. Bit hit and miss with some of his trial efforts, but, you know, at his best, he's certainly up to it. Sir Fahrenheit, where does that leave him? He might just have to roll the sleeves here, because I think Adele, she'll be carving that 3-wide trail. Majestic Trio, he's the only interstate or out of Queensland one to come into the race, so not given any favours with the visitors draw out in 6.
Okay, so Ryan, what's your shakedown of the Trotters Sprint? Sugar and Spice, the horse to beat, given that she looks the leader, or is Adele the class performer?
I think Adele is the class performer and the horse to beat, but in saying that, she's going to need some solid tempo to be able to work into the race late. Sugar and Spice controls the map. How much heat does she cop, whether she holds or hands, time will tell. I thought the Sydney horse probably has to go forward from 6, otherwise if he goes back, he's going to struggle to get into the race. He's a really nice horse in his own right. I agree with the Red Castleton angle, loves the pegs, that horse, could get that beautiful suck run if it's close enough at the turn, look out. But I sided with Adele, 3 good trials. Her peak performances have been excellent. I think she can do the job.
Okay, so you're with Adele to beat Sugar and Spice, Van Sank, Red Castleton. Darren, you're tipping Red Castleton.
Yeah, I just think he's maybe not quite at his peak, but he's just going to get the ideal trip here. He's had 7 wins at Albion Park, 6 of them when he's been either behind leader or further back on the fence. There's going to be speed in this race. It's just whether he can get the angle and get out in time.
Okay, I'm going with Sugar and Spice, and I'm keen on her because she's the leader, it's a mile, and she's only got to pinch a second quarter, and I think that's enough to see her take this field all the way. Now, it's interesting with a number of these trotters that they haven't had a great deal of sort of lead-up racing going into this race as well. So there's a few that have been back at the trials. Adele, Van Sank, he blew up in his last trial, which was concerning, but Shannon Price outlined in a radio interview that it was an easy problem to fix, so she's expecting him to perform well, although probably just needs that little bit of luck. But I think Sugar and Spice is the horse to beat. 1:11.48 for me. That is the Pride's Easy Feed Trotters. Sprint start time for that feature at 6:45. The first leg of the main tab quaddie on Saturday night is race 5. It's the JC McMullen, named after the legendary horseman, and it's drawn together a really solid field. Darren, there's a lot of ways to look at it, as you would expect. There's a lot of McMullen influence in this race. John and Talia, they combine with a What a Roller, Chantel Turpin, Bowden Blues, Always Smoking the Emergency, and RD's Flash. Narissa's got Last Time Joe. So is this an easy race for you to map?
I think the way it pans out, you've got the Bowden Blues, who's a really strong beginner. He probably pushes his way onto the top. What a Roller, he's probably best served taking a trail. Does have really good early speed himself, but his best work has come sort of probably in behind. That leaves RD's Flash, who's arguably probably the best horse in the race on current form. Maybe in a little spot of bother, but I think the tempo in this race is going to be really strong. Where they end up in the running line, Captain's Pick might come forward. Last Time Joe, Narissa McMullen, he might come forward, and then they sort of fill in there. Chap Daddy, he's likely to go back from 6, as will Big Shadow. And, you know, this race should generate plenty of tempo, but Pete McMullen on RD's Flash, he's probably just needs that little bit of luck. And they've had good success in this race previously with a couple of speedsters in Uncle Shank and Will the Wizard. So I think RD's Flash, he just needs that little bit of luck. Yeah,
he'll be desperate to win, Pete McMullen, no doubt about it. Near and dear to his heart. Class runners here, Ryan. So the Bowden Blues and RD's Flash both back up from last week's Southeast Derby. And the one that's on the biggest class drop, he's Charlie's Angel, coming out of last week's Rising Sun. He was beaten a long way. You follow Victoria. Is he good enough to overcome this draw?
I'm happy to play against him here, Chris. It's going to be a hard fought, stomped out mile here. I think they're going to go close to breaking 52 from his barrier. I think he's going to struggle to get into the race.
Okay, so which way are you sort of looking at this race as far as a betting angle is concerned?
Yeah, I've sided with RD's Flash. I think he will get that 3 pegs run, but I see them flying along, and he only has to get clear air inside the last 300, and I think he'll make his presence felt. I think it'll be 1, 2, 3, the pegs home.
Okay, so with RD's Flash likely to be 3 back on the inside and a hot tempo being set, those that are starting to sort of fatigue late, that sort of gives him an opportunity to get off and make his run.
Yeah, I do believe he'll see clear air, and I wouldn't put it past him getting a second horse up the sprint lane either.
Okay, so both you guys are with RD's Flash, so you're sticking with him, although he could be 3 back on the inside.
Yeah, I think regardless, if he does end up there, like Ryan mentions, the speed will be strong enough that those outside runners might just create enough space for him to get out, and just needs that tiny element of luck, but I think he gets it.
Okay, I'm going to go with one What a Roller because I just think he's going to be in the right spot. He's a give and go type. He can fly off the arm, then normally hand over. The Bowden Blues looks the perfect foil for him, so if he hasn't done a great deal of work early and he's sitting right in behind them, he gets first use of the sprint lane. So I'll go 1-8-2-10. But that promises to be a very good race, the JC McMullen. It's an integral part of the Winter Carnival now here in Brisbane. And I'm sure this year's edition is going to be very, very strong. So that starts the main quaddie, race number 5, getting underway at 7:15. The first of our Group 1 features, this is the Garrard's Golden Girl, and this is a race that is really cementing itself as part of a key part of the carnival. Only in its 3rd edition now, the Golden Girl. We've seen Gerarda's Delight blow up the tote board last year. Town Echo, she went off at big odds. Do we finally get a favourite successful in this race? Time will tell on Saturday night. This race carries a first 4 jackpot of $20,000 as well. And this is a great lineup. And the barrier draw has made it very intriguing. Darren, as I come to you, how do you sort of line up the gate speed here? Manhattan finally gets the inside draw, so does she have enough speed to lead? She's got good Kiwi gate speed, but does that equate to Australian sort of gate speed? Then you've got Fairy Tinkerbell, Uptown Beach Girl, more than likely going forward despite the wide draw. How do you sort of map this race?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. Like you mentioned with Manhattan, she's definitely holds the keys to this contest, that's for sure. I think she gets crossed. I thought Fairy Tinkerbell would be able to muster and get through and get across her. Not with any great deal of confidence, but I think if she just continues to press forward, I think Luke McCarthy can get her across in front. That said, if Nathan Dawson lights up Uptown Beach Girl, he's every chance of blazing straight across the front of them and getting there. So no confidence, but I think Fairy Tinkerbell does get to the fence first, ahead of Manhattan. That puts Braveview Kelly in a really tough spot. But that said, the last couple of years, these races, they go hard. The Group 1 on offer, that might open up later. We saw Gerarda's Delight absolutely blast home from deep in the pack. So not all may be lost if that happens and she does end up 3 fence. So if Fairy Tinkerbell does lead, well, that leaves Uptown Beach Girl perhaps parked across, which would give Soho Historia a perfect trip. But first up, big race to target first up, but we know how good the Emma Stewart team can fire.
Well, Fairy Tinkerbell's the only horse backing up from last year's Golden Girl. Do you agree or disagree with that map?
I'm firmly in the other camp, Chris. I think Manhattan finally draws a gate and she can use her gate speed to punch through and hold and lead up here. Whilst Fairy Tinkerbell is a blazing beginner, I think she was more of a chance to cross if she was drawn in more of a slingshot type of gate out in 4, 5 or 6. So yeah, I'm praying Bob Butt does enough to hold up, and then the wonderful mare Braveview Kelly is going to get that leader's back trip, and I'm firmly with her.
Okay, what about the driving engagements? Bob Butt coming across to partner Manhattan. He knows this mare better than anyone, so that's a plus. It has to be a plus. And then Chris Alford has been engaged to drive a More Vita. It's his only drive on the program. That's a significant booking, that one.
Oh, she's a wonderful mare, More Vita. She is a live hope. If they overdo it, she can easily win this race.
What about Soho Historia? First up, like Darren said, attacking a Group 1 race fresh up. But if any stable's going to do it, it's the Emma Stewart stable.
Yeah, I probably want to be against Soho Historia, a fraction, being first up, and I think she's going to have to work a little bit to find a spot.
Okay, so which way are you going?
Yeah, I'm going with the value of Fairy Tinkerbell based off my map that I think she can find the front. Even if she then gives up to Uptown Beach Girl, it's going to put her in a perfect spot. So I've got her on top, Uptown Beach Girl, throw in Soho Historia and Braveview Kelly, who need the luck, but conversely, if Manhattan leads, well then you'd want to be on Braveview Kelly in the run.
Can I throw this one at you? If Fairy Tinkerbell does cross Manhattan, she's handing over if Uptown Beach Girl comes looking, surely.
Well, under that scenario, yeah.
Okay. So you're with Fairy Tinkerbell. I'm going to go with 3, Soho Historia. We saw this mare last year when she was a filly take out the Queensland Oaks, and on that occasion, she produced a brilliant finish to score. So if she can find a good spot without spending too much early petrol, I think she's going to prove hard to beat here. Number 3, Soho Historia. Braveview Kelly, she's the class mare, Ryan, as you outlined. She's the winner of the Queen Elizabeth, the Old Ladyship Mile. She contested the Miracle Mile earlier this year. The draw's the trick. She just needs that little bit of luck or no bad luck. Uptown Beach Girl, I think she'll run a ripper, and Manhattan won't be far away. So 3, 8, 7, 1. You're going with Braveview Kelly.
Yeah, firmly in her corner, Chris. 53.6 last week. She's been in excellent form this prep. First up, she chaired up at Menangle. They broke 50. She did all the work and was just touched out late. She was great here last week. If Manhattan gets her to the lane, she's the one. Okay, so
8, 1, 10, 3 for Ryan there. In the Group 1 Garrard's Golden Girl, and that is going to be an absolute ripper. It always is. It's a key race now for the Carnival. And don't forget, first 4 jackpot of $20,000 as well. Race number 6, set down for decision at 7:46. The inaugural edition of the Hayden comes through as race 7 on Saturday night. This is the slot race for Racing Queensland. There's plenty at stake, not only great prize money, $231,000 for connections, but also the winner is going to represent Racing Queensland in the upcoming Tab Eureka in Sydney at Menangle. That race comes through on September 2, and it just happens to be the world's richest harness race with prize money of $2.1 million. So there is a lot at stake here, Darren, and many have got this down to a race in 2. Captain Shuffles, speak the truth. Captain Shuffles, he's gone an unorthodox path getting to this race, whereas Speak the Truth's gone the hard yards. And he's got to back up again after a really tough run last week in the Rising Sun. So I'll pose this question straight up. Is it a race in 2?
That's how I think it is. You look, there's some 3-year-olds in there. I don't think they're up to the mark in this race, unfortunately. Captain Shuffles from the map, from gate 5, pushes on, works his way to the front. He then, it's a matter of speak the truth when they make their move, if Captain Shuffles gets worked early in finding the front, hold on to your bling, likely to get across to the pegs first, and from there, a horse like Free Thinker can run the arm as well, so that, puts that little bit of early pressure in Captain Shuffles getting across. Can Captain Shuffles run out a hard 2100? He hasn't had to this campaign. He was a winner of the Triad last year, which was 2100 as a 3-year-old, so he can do it, but he hasn't had to do it this campaign. He's, like you said, a little bit different campaign. A lot of these horses, take Captain Shuffles out of the mix, a lot of these horses have raced each other in the past couple of weeks through either the Rising Sun Consolation, or the Queensland Sun. Captain Shuffles, he's just been plying his trade in a couple of Saturday night, a qualifier and then a band 5. Dealt with them as he probably should coming into a race like this. So, speak the truth, enormous. His Queensland Sun run took the 4-year-old 2100 track record off Leap to Fame. Didn't get to hold it that long. He only held it a week, but he still had his name there in the lights for a week. His run in the Rising Sun, huge. He was sort of in that middle of the 3-wide train. He led up, let Leap to Fame go, but then got exposed because Leap to Fame just bullied his way. He's the class runner. I think he's thriving on the hard racing. He has had a couple of real gut busters, but I think he can go again, and he's the one for me. So from a mapping perspective, I think he probably gets around in the early stages at some point, sits outside and proves too strong. Away we go. They probably want to press forward on him. Hold on to your bling, first to the fence. Apollo Dreams would want to hand up. Future Assured, very nice horse. Under that scenario, he just gets shuffled out of it, unfortunately, and Danger Zone he'll be running on. So, but to speak the truth for me, to beat Captain Shuffles, race in 2.
Okay, race in 2 for you, but let's just break this down a little bit further. Captain Shuffles is a proven Group 1 winner at Albion Park at 2,138 metres. Speak the Truth is yet to claim a Group 1 race. He's been very brave, and this is the big thing. How does he back up again? Because he's had hard runs in recent times, chasing home Leap to Fame, the Patron's Purse. He was absolutely huge in the Queensland Sun, and then last week he was doing a mountain of work mid-race again, chasing home Leap to Fame. So I think this is going to be a tight contest.
I think it will be. I'm with Darren. Speak the truth, what he's done this prep's been enormous. And what I liked about last week with the horse, his last 100, he was as strong as a lion as any of the chasing field, despite having perhaps the toughest run of all, apart from the winner Leap to Fame. He's bounced through the runs. It was great to hear Shannon Price declare that he has thrived off last week. I think that spells danger signs for his opposition. Even though Captain Shuffles is going to be on the front end doing his own thing, I think he'll be declared on from the bell, and I reckon Speak the Truth is the best stayer. He's made of the right stuff. He's the one for me.
Well, Speak the Truth is the son of the Super Sire Bettor's Delight, and they seem to thrive on racing, so maybe that's a plus for him. Captain Shuffles, a son of Captain Treacherous. He's got speed to burn. Did he do enough for you last week putting away that field?
I think the way it's panned out, he did what he had to. I don't think he's been over-raced. Probably with this race in mind, obviously, it's a big step, but just a little bit concerned. Like, I know he's won a Group 1 at 2,100. It's going to be a different kettle of fish this week with the pressure he cops at 2,100. So that's just throws a few questions up that, I don't know, can he answer them?
Well, the first 1,100 is going to be interesting. He's got blazing gate speed. He proved that last week again, just fired off from out wide, led easily. He could do that again here on Saturday night. So if he gets a fairly easy first lap, and when Speak the Truth starts applying the blowtorch with a lap to run, it will be a survival of the fittest here.
Yeah, it certainly will, and it all comes down to that lead time. I think if it's anything outside of probably 36, and then if he can pinch a 60-second first half, well then he's holding all the aces at that point, and Speak the Truth will know he's in a fight.
I'll get both of you to answer this question. Whether it's Captain Shuffles or Speak the Truth who walk away with the trophy here, do they acquit themselves well in the Tab Eureka?
Yeah, I think they do. I think either of them will acquit themselves well. It's a mighty task. You've got Leap to Fame and Catch a Wave already there. The other guy, Captain Ravishing, yet to really show himself as a 4-year-old, I think, with what he showed earlier in the campaign. So, and we haven't seen him back at the track yet. So, Yeah, they'll acquit themselves well.
Yeah, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they both can run top 5 in the Eureka.
Yep. Okay, so you're firmly in the corner of Speak the Truth.
Yeah, I am. In saying that, it really is a dead set match race, this race.
Okay.
Last week, Captain Shuffles got home in 27, back-to-back, Plug's still in. He just coasts to the line a little bit, though. I think in a staying trip, I still have a big question mark. You know, even in the triad last year, we saw Teddy Disco reel an enormous amount of ground off him late. So, yeah, I'm with Speak the Truth, sort of back-to-back 53 miles from the chair. He'll do me.
Okay, I've got to ask this question. Are you playing one out with Speak the Truth in the quaddie, or are you putting in Captain Shuffles just for the insurance factor?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take them both.
You're taking both?
Yeah, I'll take them both.
Okay, all right. So we're all with Speak the Truth for this Hayden race, the inaugural running, and Matt Hayden, the race who it's named after, will be trackside on Saturday night. So we've all got Speak the Truth on top. We've all got Captain Shuffles for second. And we're playing around with the likes of Danger Zone, Future Assured, Hold On to Your Bling as the minor players. So that is going to be a cracking race. The inaugural edition, $231,000 up for grabs. But as I said, the winner is also going to represent Racing Queensland in the first ever running of the $2.1 million Tab Eureka in Sydney on September 2. Start time for the Hayden getting underway at 8:18. The big one on Saturday night, without doubt, is the Garrard Sunshine Sprint. Open class performers over the mile at Albion Park, as I mentioned earlier. Race record 150.4, I'm the Mighty Quinn. Track record 149.2. 4 horses who contested last year's Sunshine Sprint back up. That includes Black Sedan, So Cast No Shadow, Turn It Up, and Spirit of St. Louis. The horse that won last year, Better Eclipse, he won't be starting. But the boom horse is Leap to Fame, and he is starting in many ways a surprise starter and acceptor for this great race. First stage back in 1983. Amazing Trick successful. Up from Sydney, 159.4. I'm tipping they're going to go a lot faster than that time.
Unless something happens to the clock, you would expect so.
Okay, so how do you break this race down? There is so many different angles with Leap to Fame. What does he do from gate 6? How does it set up to his inside? You're the man doing the map, so how do you break it down?
Yeah, it's a fascinating race, and you know, we've mentioned it that no one expected him really to be there, probably other than Grant Dixon. He knew what he was doing, and but yeah, here we are. And from gate 6, it's just, we thought last week in the Rising Sun, gate 7, well, you know, the intention's clear, we're pressing forward, but he floated straight back and then just came around them and dominated them. So we're back at a mile here. He probably can't take that same path, you would think, because if he does that, he will be 3 wide or a lot further, even though, you know, there's that respect factor of how good he is. Better Zip It, Black Sedance, they're probably the 2 key runners in terms of the early map, in that they both go well in front or out there, but they don't have that push button speed. They both take a little bit of time to really get going. So with I Cast No Shadow in the middle of them, I think that gives Better Zip It the opportunity to just use that muster and really kick through and hold up. If Black Sedance then tries to challenge him early, probably leaves him parked. Chris, you spoke to Pete McMullen during the week on radio, and reading between the lines, I think he suggested that if Leap to Fame were to come round, he would show him the respect and take a trail. So that would leave Leap to Fame parked. Does Cam Hart then offer him the same respect and wave him on by? If that happens, well, we're playing for second money, because Leap to Fame just blows them away. Magnificent Storm, he's the query runner. He's got good gate speed, has shown it in Perth. He's there in forward. Does he get that slingshot across with that really push button speed? Who knows? Hot and Treacherous, he's drawn out wide. Leap to Fame underneath him. So it all, mapping it, there's just so many permeations of what could actually happen and how hard they want to go early, all in the back of the mind with what they do early, is you've got Leap to Fame out there in 6, and it's when does he come calling?
It's just fascinating, because you're just not sure how this is going to set up. Do you sort of go along with that line of thinking, or do you think there's going to be a real surprise element here at the start?
I think anything's on the table here. Yeah. Magnificent Storm, from the work I've done, he really is quick for 100. So for me, he's the spanner in the works of the map. It's not beyond the realms that he actually gets over. And I would assume that he'd be holding top from there. I think Larry can just hustle out, continue to press. I think he'll probably work to the breeze at the bell, and from there he's the horse to beat.
Okay. You love a stat. 4-year-olds have won the past 2 editions of the Sunshine Sprint. So Better Eclipse last year, coming out of the Rising Sun when he was second behind Ladies in Red. 2 years ago as the Kiwi Star copy that. There's so much at stake here with Leap to Fame. He's a 4-year-old and he's a stallion, which is really important when you're sort of looking long term with him. Every race for him now is so vitally important. Here he is with a chance at creating history, winning the big 3 in his home state, the Rising Sun, Sunshine Sprint, Black's a Fake. Before Better Eclipse and copy that, there was a real no-go zone as far as 4-year-olds for the Sunshine Sprint. You had to go back to 93, 94, Warrior Khan, Young Mr. Charles. So can they continue their dominance, the 4-year-olds in this race? I don't know. It just seems really interesting. Where does he get to? Like, did he do that well after the Rising Sun last week that they're happy to go to the post again? And does he produce something similar to what he did last week?
Yeah, well, he's going to have to, I think, because, he's stepping up against the seasoned free-for-all campaigners here and, some horses that have won free-for-all Grand Circuit races he's going up against. An Inter-Dominion winner, Better Zippets, a Nullarbor winner, Spirit of St. Louis won big races, Expensive Ego, although he's nowhere near his best, has done some, top efforts, Magnificent Storm. So, you throw all that in the mix and he's going to need to be every bit as good. And the fact that I think that he comes into this race when no one expected it, it really just, it's a real curveball. And like you said, he's got the stud value. He's already got a 49 mile as a 3-year-old next to his name. So he's got that time, but he comes out here, you don't want him to be getting dealt with, which he shouldn't be, but at the same time, you look at his races ahead. If he goes to the Black's a Fake 2600, he's got the Eureka at 2300. Later in the year, possibly the Inter-Dominion, all longer distance races. This was a race that probably is not his wheelhouse distance, but here he is, and he gets his chance. I guess he gets his chance to really stamp himself of how good he is. So that'll be good. With the 4-year-old angle, find that interesting in that the race was traditionally held in the middle of the year, which was end of season, 4-year-old. Here we are now; it's middle of season as a 4-year-old, and 4-year-olds have won the last 2. So that's a little bit of a perhaps an interesting angle, but I think it'll be three 4-year-olds in the past 3 years. I think he wins. Okay, you're tipping Leap to Fame?
Yeah, I'm strongly with Leap to Fame. I don't have any lingering doubts about the 4-year-olds measuring up to the open grade at the moment. We've seen Catch a Wave go and lead and win and dominate a Miracle Mile, so that element for me, it's just not there. He must have thrived for them to want to bounce through and sort of put this middle pin in the 3 consecutive weeks. So yeah, no queries from me.
Okay, we're all with Leap to Fame. We've all got similar numbers for the minors as well. This is going to be a cracking race, no doubt about it. And the Garrard's family have been sponsoring the Sunshine Sprint since 1998. So this is the 25th year that they've sponsored the Sunshine Sprint. It's an iconic race in the Sunshine State, and this is going to be an absolute ripper. Can he do it again? Leap to Fame. First 4 jackpot of $20,000. The features keep coming. Race 9, this is the Albion Park Gold. The 2-year-olds coming out of qualifiers last week, and it's drawn together a very competitive field. Last year was light on numbers, full field this year, and I think it's a very good race. Over the mile we go. There was some very impressive heat performers. We've got to admit, Ryan Spice has got a small share in Balboa Rock, who was one of the heat winners and one of the major players for this final on Saturday night. We'll get to Ryan in just a moment. How did you map this race? Not easy, 2-year-olds here, so a lot can happen.
Yeah, and quite a few of these, Chris, are not that experienced as 2-year-olds either. Quite a few with only sort of 3 and 4 starts, so that makes it a little bit tricky. Synchroniser, she holds the key to the race, and I know there's a little bit of a theory that this is perhaps as much as a 2-horse race as the Hayden is. I don't subscribe to that theory. I think as good as Synchroniser was in the heat, good time, showed good gate speed, I think there might be a few fireworks early, prepared to take the filly on. And I think Attachment could be one of those. I think Bronski Zulu could also be one of those that fire out and have a look. Wouldn't be surprised if Quick Change also darts across and has a look. So under that situation, I thought Attachment might just be able to slingshot across from gate 7 and try to pinch it, and that would put Bronski Zulu up there, Quick Change up there, and under that situation, Balboa Rock's then buried in the run. Not good for you, Ryan, but I know you think that Synchroniser can hold the front. So, yeah, it'll be interesting early 2-year-olds. You never know what's going to happen. Quite a few of these 2-year-olds too will be stepping out under lights for the first time. They've only been around in the daytime previously. So you've also, you know, a bit of a different factor to work in there. But, yeah, that's how I thought it might play. But, yeah, not as clear-cut as a 2-horse race in my eyes.
Yeah, so you've got Attachment finding the lead, and Pete McMullen opting for him over Delhi Road. Delhi Road was quite good in his heat, but Pete's opting to stick with Attachment. So you're the man to ask. Balboa Rock, he was impressive taking his heat. You obviously want the one to hold up.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think the Hewitt can take the risk in taking a sit, and I think the horse has the natural speed to hold and dictate. I think what they'll try and do is lead but slow it down in the mid-race. So for me, it is a 2-horse race. I think there'll be nothing in between them on the line. May the best horse win.
Okay, I've got to ask this question then with Balboa Rock. Part of the Emma Stewart stable, is it very well rated?
According to all reports, yeah, they've got a really nice opinion of him.
Okay. All right, just needs that little bit of luck from the draw. Who are you tipping to win this race on Saturday night?
Yeah, I've actually got Bronski Zulu on top at a bit of value. I think if he doesn't overwork it in the middle stages, I think he's coming back to his best. He was a very early season starter, so yeah, I think off that, I just think Synchroniser gets crossed, so I was looking at something coming wide. So she's certainly there, and Balboa Rock is certainly there. So it just depends what happens early. But yeah, not a great deal of confidence, but happy to put Bronski Zulu on top at a reasonable price.
Okay, I think the pegs is the safest spot to be in any race, and I think the two key runners here are numbers 1 and 8, Synchroniser, Balboa Rock. Either scenario, how this shakes out this race, I think they're going to be in good position. So I'm happy to go with 1, 8, 10, 6. Ryan is tipping Balboa Rock to take out the Albion Park Gold. That is race number 9. It's a feature race worth $156,000, and start time, it gets underway at 9:26. The Group 3 Queensland Trotters Oaks is a new feature to the calendar for 2023, and this year proudly sponsored by the Breakfast Creek Hotel. Guys, we've got a real short one here in the Star Victorian filly, Rockin' with Attitude. She backs up from last week's feature, the inaugural running of the Great Square. How did you grade the performance last week, Darren?
I thought it was really good for a 3-year-old filly, and she, you know, she was blazing away out in front, and she fought on pretty good. Like it took, you know, London to a brick. He got the cold trip and was able to fire home. There was a couple of nice 4-year-old trotters in that race, so you can't knock that out of the Great Square. And you look at her previous starts, she annexed the New South Wales Trotters Derbies, Trotters Oaks. She's got every opportunity to do that again here with the Queensland Oaks tomorrow on Saturday night into the Queensland Derby the following week. So yeah, I can't see why she can't do the double state double.
Okay, she leads all the way. This should be an easy race to map.
Yeah, I guess the hardest part out of it, does Izmir get enough to be straight on her back, or can Kenaturio, who does have pretty good speed, just force enough pressure early to get across and get the back of Rockin' with Attitude? I thought under that situation, Kenaturio could get there, and then she proves probably the second pick in the race. So outside of Kenaturio, I'm a Gypsy Queen and En Masse probably leading up the one wide line, and the others looking for the pegs. That said, it'd be no surprise to see him single file. Okay,
your map is important because in so many ways people are going to attack this race hard. Because she's such a short quote, Rockin' with Attitude, we've got to look to the exotics now. So getting the positions right is vital when you're playing Quinellas, Exactas, Trifectas and First Four. So she's a standout, Rockin' with Attitude, but getting second, third and fourth right, not easy.
No, not easy at all, Chris. I do tend to think that they will race in single file here once they find their positions. For me, from an exotics perspective, I'll be playing hard with Kenaturio and I'm a Gypsy Queen.
Okay, so we've all got Rockin' with Attitude on top. I'm going with 4 En Masse as the second pick. Kenaturio, I'm a Gypsy Queen, 1, 4, 3, 5. Darren's gone 1, 3, 5, 2, and Ryan's going 1, 3, 4, 5. That's the last race on the program. Start time for the Trotters Oaks is at 10:25. Time now to catch up with a couple of our leading drivers. Nathan Dawson, he's the man with the hot hand right now. He's Mr. 200 because he brought up that big milestone last Saturday night. Angus Garrard's also got a couple of very interesting drives on Saturday night. I caught up with these guys earlier in the week. Mr. Double Century joins us to go through his book of drives on Saturday night. He's the man with the hot hand, Nathan Dawson, and he's in the hot seat as well. Nathan, appreciate the time.
Nah, good to be on, Chris.
It's a cracking meeting on Saturday night, and you're involved in a lot of the big ones. Let's start with the opener, though. Sugar for My Honey for Ricky Elchin. She's a mare going well, but this is a deep race.
Yeah, it is. It's a pretty handy race. Thankfully we got a decent drawer in the back line there, and we should be able to follow the speed pretty good.
All right, Orchid Stride and early scratching, so that helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's just going to play into the smaller field the way she likes to race, but if we get any luck, she'll be thereabouts.
Are you hoping for speed?
Yeah, it's probably really the only chance we're going to get from the back line. If there's not much speed, we won't be getting into it too much late.
Okay. Race 3, I'm keen to get your thoughts here. Beach Villa, he's going really well. He's drawn the inside of the second row, but you're drawn to follow out the Grogfather. So is there a chance this might be leader behind leader scenario?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. He's going well, the horse, and the Grogfather, he likes to lead and roll along. So, fingers crossed that's the way it plans out.
So if it does pan out that way, gee, you're going to be hard to beat.
I think so. I reckon if the Grogfather holds up, I have a pretty good chance of running him down.
He is going really well. He can get a bit keen, but he's going super at the moment.
He is. He's really found his straps the last few starts, and he's putting up good performances in good times. So he's definitely going to take some beating if luck's on his side.
Okay, race 4, the first of our features, the Trotters Sprint. Adele, she's in super form. We haven't seen this mare since she took out the Redcliffe Trotters Cup. How do you rate her chances?
Yeah, she's a really good chance. I'm pretty happy to be drawing 10 instead of 7. It makes things a little bit easier. Probably won't be as far back, but she's a super mare and she's proven that plenty of times. So any luck in running, and she'll be right there in the finish. Looking
back at this Redcliffe Trotters Cup, standing start conditions that night, back behind the mobile, is that more suitable for her?
Yeah, it is. Generally, she's been pretty good with the stand, but on last start she made that little area, but she was still too good to overcome that. But I'm pretty happy that it's a mobile.
Okay, she's had 3 trials since this race start, and each of the trials have been really good. Most times up against paces, and they've been finishing off in quick last halves. Has she pleased you?
Yeah, she's really good at the moment. We've just been ticking her over and not giving her too much to do, but the other day they ran home in a good quarter, and she did that pretty easy, keeping up with them.
Okay. Are you just hoping for genuine speed here? Does that help?
Yeah, it looks like there should, be a fair bit of speed on. So, hopefully they keep rolling, and if they do that, we'll be getting over them late.
Okay. She's good enough to overcome the draw. You knew where you were going to draw, being RODM, but she's good enough to score?
Yeah, I think she is. She's overcome a lot of things when she probably shouldn't have, so I can't see why she can't do it again.
Okay, well, that's Adele in the Trotters Sprint. Let's go to the Group 1 features now. The Golden Girl, Uptown Beach Girl. This was the mare that you brought up your double century with last Saturday night in the Fleur de Lille. She had Gate 2 last week, Gate 7 on Saturday night, but this is her grand final. This has been the target race all season. So how is she right now going into this Group 1 feature?
Yeah, she's really good. She proved that last week that she was on song and heading in the right direction. But, unfortunately we didn't get the draw we were hoping for. But, I still think with the quality mare she is and the way she likes to race that she's good enough to overcome that.
Is Manhattan a chance of being headed here at the start?
Oh, it left pretty good last week. I'd say if Ferry Tinkerbell was a fraction wider on the track, it might have got over. But, as we know, it's pretty hard side by side to get across them.
Okay, and given this is her grand final, does that mean that you can sort of light her up at the start and get into the action as quickly as possible?
Yeah, we'll be heading forward. This is the main aim, and it's either all in or it's kind of pointless just going back. So we'll be going hard and hoping we're good enough.
Okay, well, she looks a terrific chance, and she's at the peak of her powers right now, judging by that victory there last week. Let's focus on the Hayden, first ever running of this feature. Captain Shuffles is your drive. He scored last week. Is he right where he needs to be going into this feature?
I think so. I've been pretty happy with the way he's coming along, and last week he really felt like the old horse again. So, I couldn't ask for much more heading into this.
He looked really comfortable going through the line last week. Did it feel as easy as it looked?
Yeah, it was. He's a bit of a laid-back style of horse, and he switches off that bit, but, the first time we put plugs in him last week and we still hadn't got them out, so, you know, there's a fair bit left in the tank with him.
Okay, I've gone through his form. 2,138 metres. He won the triad last year, beating you when you were driving Teddy Disco. The distance is no concern, is it?
I don't think so, no. You know, he's a strong horse and he's got a good cruising speed, as he's, you know, shown when he ran 51 for the mile and then 54 for the 21. So, you know, it's not really going to worry him.
Speak the Truth looks the obvious horse to beat, but geez, had some hard runs. So, fresh is best. Could that be the winning formula?
I think so. You know, he's obviously going really well, but them hard runs take their toll on the horses. So, you know, we're probably not going to know what's in the tank until Saturday night.
Okay. The Group 1 Garrard Sunshine Sprint, hot and treacherous, gate 7. It's probably not the news you wanted to hear on Tuesday afternoon.
No, it's not. You know, he's probably chances is getting a good draw, but he's going well, and you know, if things go our way and we get all the splits at the right time, he's definitely good enough to be featuring in it.
Do you think they'll break the track record here?
Yeah, I think so. You know, those horses, you know, are good speed horses, and you know, Leap to Fame, the way he's going, he almost broke it for the trip last week, so I think it's in a bit of trouble.
Okay, well, we look forward to that, Ray. So you're just going to go back and just drive for luck?
Yeah, it's probably my only really chance I can do from out there. You know, I go forward, I'm not really going to get anywhere.
All right. Race 9, the Albion Park Gold. Bronski Zulu, he was a heat winner last week, and he was sharp.
Yeah, he was really good. You know, I was quite impressed the way he won his race and, you know, the way he did it. So, you know, it's not an ideal draw, but I definitely know he's in the race.
So how does it play out at the start? Where do you want to land soon after the start with this guy?
Yeah, in front would be ideal, but I don't think I'll be there. But we'll be heading forward and getting as handy as possible.
He's versatile, so, you know, it's not the be-all and end-all, the draw, but if he's close enough, he's good enough.
Yeah, he is. I actually said to Charlie 2 starts ago when he raced on Saturday night that I reckon this is the best the horse has been, and you know, he come out and proved that the week after, so I'm pretty happy with where he's at.
All right, good chance there. And you finished the night with Queenslander and Race 10. You're up against the Lost Storm. Is he a place hope here?
Actually, I reckon he's quite a nice horse and he's going well. You know, he just got held up last week and his sectionals were really good, so you know, I wouldn't even be surprised to see him win.
Okay, so a little push there for Queenslander. Are you going forward or back at the start?
Oh, we'll just float out and see what happens. You know, just see what the speed's like underneath us.
All right, picky your drives on Saturday night?
Oh, I'm going to go Captain Shuffles. He's ready to rock and roll.
Okay, race 7, that's the Hayden. Number 5, Nathan, as always, appreciate the time. We'll see you trackside.
Thanks, Chris.
It's Garrard Sunshine Sprint Race Night on Saturday night, so it's only fitting that we get Angus on for Garrard Sunshine Sprint Night because he's got some key drives on the weekend and he joins us now. Angus, appreciate the time.
No worries. Thanks for having me, Chris.
We start in the first, and I'm keen to get your thoughts here on Holy Camp Dylan. 2 local runs. You were behind this guy when he won first up, and then he raced on Tuesday, finishing 4th. You didn't drive him, but no doubt you've done the tape. So what was the takeaway from Tuesday?
Yeah, I thought he raced really well, Chris. You know, from memory, it was over the trip, and you know, he still fought on well. He probably got found out a little bit the last sort of 50 to 100. They just sort of dropped on him a little bit, but I definitely thought it was a good run, and you know, having 2 runs up here now, he hopefully should take a bit of improvement out of both of them and be tip-top for Saturday night.
Did he give you a good feel when he won first up?
Yeah, he did, Chris. You know, from sort of the moment he stepped on the track, he felt like he had a bit of an engine, and you know, you go back through his form, he's running some really good races and run some really nice races. He was probably lacking in form a touch before he arrived, but you know, he got a nice soft first half outside the leader, and he felt the winner from a long way out.
This is a deep race on Saturday night. There's a number of different form lines to look at as well. But do you think he's going to measure up here?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got the ability to. He probably needs the right run in this sort of race, but you know, the motor's definitely there.
Okay. Gate 4, how do you sort of play it at the start? Do you want to try and get handy as quickly as possible?
Yeah, I think we'll try and get forward, Chris. Probably don't want to really rev him up and light him up over the 21, but if we can just poke out and get a handy spot without doing too much, I think that'll be ideal.
All right, well, that's Holy Cam Dillon in race number 1. Race 2, this is a good race. In many ways, it's being dubbed as the consolation for the Sunshine Sprint. So there's a stack of chances here. You're driving one of the leading players in Manila Playboy. First up, stiff to miss out?
Yeah, I think so. You know, there were probably a couple there that probably, I'd suppose, a little lucky to get in, or you could have argued whether they got in or not. But it was probably more disappointing that he missed the run in the One Dies Mate 2 weeks ago. Probably if he had got in there, which I think he should have, and run a good race again, it was probably enough to make sure he definitely got in this race Saturday night.
Okay, well, let's focus on this race. So you're drawn 10, so you're 3 off the second row. There's got to be a stack of pressure in this race. There looks like there is, and it should generate its own way. The faster the better for Manila Playboy?
Yeah, for sure, Chris. You know, he's racing really well. It was probably, last week was probably his first really hard run this time in, and you know, Shane and I sort of think it should bring him on a little bit more again, so hopefully he's, you know, tip-top Saturday night.
Is that what he was looking for, though, Angus? Was he looking for that, you know, genuine sort of dogfight that he got into last week?
Yeah, I think so. I think it will have done him good, you know. We always look after him early in his preps and try not to kill him, but, you know, he went wrong in the Redcliffe Cup. He sort of got checked and never got warm. It was probably really a run he missed, and, you know, then he was sort of luckless the week before last in that ballot race, but you know, he probably really needed that hard run, sort of tighten him right up and have him, you know, at 100%.
You've always been a huge fan of his speed. Point-to-point speed, he's certainly one of the quickest in the state. So if you're 3 deep in that cover flow, and whether it's 3 deep, 1 back, or 3 deep, 2 back, and there's been genuine speed, how do they hold him out?
You know, I don't think many could. You know, if he's 100%, I don't really think there's anything that can go with him. You know, we've seen in the past he's had some pretty nice horses and pretty fast horses on his back, and he's dropped them cold. You know, he's got really super turn of foot. So if we can be tracking into the race nice around that last bend and getting the slingshot into the straight off some genuine tempo, I think he'd be hard to beat.
If he wins this race on the weekend, they can't leave him out next week, surely?
Oh, I'd like to think so. You know, he missed the field good last week. 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th all nominated for the Sunshine Sprint, and none of them got in. So it's a bit hard to judge, and you don't know what else is going to turn up for the Blacks of Fake. So we'll wait and see, but you'd like to think so.
Okay, well, let's cross this bridge on Saturday night firstly. Let's go to race 4, the Trotters Sprint. Sir Fahrenheit, when was the last time he made a little error in running?
Oh, I reckon it was just over 12 months ago. I reckon the first round of the DJA last year, he made an error, but he copped a check that night. So it's not a common thing with him, but he probably chose a bad night to do it last week.
Yeah, did it throw you a little bit?
Yeah, it definitely did. You know, it was a bit of a messy start, but I was sort of going into the first turn, 1 out, 2 back. I thought, how good's this? And just sort of backed off and rolled off, and definitely caught me off guard.
So this race, we're back behind the mobile on Saturday night, and he's got early speed if you want to use it. Are you happy with the draw?
Oh, not really. 1 would have been great, but, you know, it's only a starting point, and you never know what could happen in these races.
Okay. Sugar and Spice looks the leader from the inside. Do you think, you know, there's enough pressure there for her to be a little vulnerable late?
It's a little hard to say. You know, there's probably a couple there that got to get into the race at some point. But, you know, she looks very hard to beat from the 1.
Okay. But you're confident that he can bounce back and show his best?
Yeah, I definitely think he's racing well, you know. Despite that error last time, he lost a lot of ground and probably got beat half of what he lost. So, you know, we were still pleased with his run. His run the week before was super. and he's trained on well since, so hopefully right up to his best. I think he should be right there still.
All right, fingers crossed for Sir Fahrenheit. The inaugural running of the Hayden. You've got Gate 7 here with Bangkok DJ. Is it a race in 2, or do you think it's a little bit more open than what was first thought?
Oh, I don't think you can say it's a race in 2. To me, Speak the Truth's the one to beat, but you know, he's got a second line draw. It's a field full of handy horses, and you know, they're definitely not going to be going too slow. So I think it's still an open race.
Are you going back from 7?
Yeah, I think we have to, Chris. You know, our best asset at the moment is our high speed, so we'll just probably drive for luck, and hopefully on paper it looks a genuine tempo. So hopefully we get that, and same as Manila Playboy, hopefully swoop down on them late.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, hopefully it might play out that same way where you're 3 deep with a horse to follow, and then you can just peel late and ping.
Yeah, fingers crossed. You know, he showed really good speed when he moved around him last week, and probably just got stretched out a little bit up the straight more than I thought I would have, and probably told on him a little late, but you know, we'll drive him quiet and drive him through speed, and hopefully if we can save him for that last 200 or 300, he can be too sharp for him.
Okay, well, that's a big race, and not only the prize money, but the fact that you'll be starting in the Eureka. That's the other bonus with that race, so there's plenty at stake there. The other runner on Saturday night for you is the Vicar of Dibley. She goes around in the 3-year-old, which is race 10. You've got the Lost Storm in town for the first time. She's a last start winner. She's been back to the trial. She put in a couple of funny ones at the trial. She was going to win the trial before she just got a little bumpy gated. So what's the go with her at the moment?
It made us think a bit. You know, just a few small issues, you know, nothing serious. She was second in 55 when she was favourite, and we were really disappointed that night. We thought she would have won pretty easy. And we had a few issues after that, probably set us back a little, made us miss the Redcliffe Oaks, so we sort of made a few changes with her, and we were really happy with her, but she's just another little issue bobbed up. It was easy enough to rectify, and we actually took the head check off of there a couple of runs ago, and we've just put that back on, give her a bit of balance for Saturday night. So. Okay. You know, I think she's going really well, as long as she does everything right.
Well, she's got a motor, there's no doubt about it. Is that the only gear change that you've made, just the head check goes back on?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Can she run top 4 here?
I think so. You know, we've sort of purposely gone for this race, hoping, you know, if she can run a nice race, finish sort of top 4 or 5, she can hopefully force her way into the Oaks next week.
All right, well, fingers crossed she does that. Picky your drives on Saturday night. Are we leaning towards Manila Playboy?
Yeah, I don't think you can go past him. You know, he's racing super and doesn't let me down, so hopefully on Saturday night he can be the same.
Awesome. Race 2, number 10, Manila Playboy. Angus, as always, appreciate the time, and we'll see you trackside.
No worries. Thanks, Chris.
Time now to find a good thing or two for this big program on Saturday night. 11 races, 2 Group 1 features, the Sunshine Sprint and the Golden Girl. Don't forget, Tab have got first 4 jackpots on 3 big races, the Hayden, the Golden Girl and the Sunshine Sprint. $20,000 starting pools. Maybe those pools exceed $100,000. Well worth checking out when we're doing all the form. Darren, I'm going to come to you first to get a good thing. But before I do, a couple of trivia questions. Has Grant Dixon ever driven a Sunshine Sprint winner?
I don't believe he has.
No, he hasn't. He's trained a winner. Can you name it?
That one has got me stumped. An Arc Horse?
No, a Hoka Punter,
there
beating Colt 31. There's 2 drivers competing in the Sunshine Sprint that have won a Sunshine Sprint previously. Can you name them?
Luke McCarthy, Shane Graham.
Yep, Mr. Feelgood and Ava Nova. Now, let's get your good thing for Saturday night. Where do we go for your best bet on the card?
Yeah, I think we can strike early, Chris. Race 1, horse number 6, Mr. McLaren. This guy's been going really good since he arrived in Australia. Couple of runs back, not far behind Can't Find a Better Man, who we saw come out and go around in the Rising Sun last week. I think Pete McMullen can stamp his intentions early here, press across, and it's a race that probably doesn't produce a great deal of depth, I don't think, for a band 5, and he gets his chance.
Okay, so Mr. McLaren there. Looking at your quaddie numbers, they're interesting.
Yeah, I've copped a little bit of flack for this, but you know, the old saying, happy to be the one who shot Bambi, but yeah, I've just thrown in Mac Dan in the quaddie purely off the thought that if Leap to Fame does have to work too hard and better zip it holds up, well then Mac Dan, a Group 1 winner, a Newcastle Mile winner, a Miracle Mile contestant, he's the best place to be that sniper, and it's not me killing Bambi, it'll be Mark Pitt.
Okay, and even the first leg, no room for numbers 1 and 2?
Yeah, that race I'm keen on RD's Flash. I think he can win that race, and again, it all comes down to that early map and how much pressure there is. So yeah, happy to leave both of those out.
Okay, playing for value with your quaddie there on Saturday night, races 5 through 8. Ryan, your best bet?
In the Golden Girl, Chris, I'm with the good mare, Braveview Kelly, praying for the map to play out, Manhattan to lead, Braveview Kelly to get delivered to the sprint lane. She's the one for me.
You're going skinny with the quaddie.
Yeah, I think the Chantel Turpin trained runners will dominate the JC McMullen, the Bowden Blues stomping out a huge mile on the front end, and RD's Flash, if he gets clear running, I'm really keen he's the winner. And then we'll stamp it all into Leap to Fame.
Okay, I'm going to go with Sugar and Spice as my best bet. I think she's drawn to lead. I think she's drawn to go all the way. This looks tailor-made for her. Barrier 1, 1 mile, mobile start conditions. Coming into this race off a really sharp trial, I think she's clearly the horse to beat. Race 4, number 1. There's my quaddie numbers, going a little wide in those first 2 legs. Obviously, just Captain Shuffle speak the truth, and I'm bringing it home with Larry. So $60 for 100%. You can play that to suit your own budget. Now, just looking at this Sunshine Sprint field, 10 runners, 10 different size represented. They've won over 226 races. That's not including the emergency. And that field has banked more than $7.2 million. It's a fair lineup, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is, and I'm not sure how many Group 1 winners would have come out of that race as well, but not often you see not multiple size represented, so that's a really interesting one, especially at this level.
Okay, we've got 11 races kicking off at 5:10. Before I let you go, Ryan, if he does win again on Saturday night, will it be standing room only next week for the Blacks of Fate?
Chris, let's hope it's packed to the rafters the week after, standing room only, and they can cheer the good horse home. What I will say is if he takes care of them in the Sunshine Sprint, I fear for the starting price that he will be in the Blacks of Fate.
Yeah, okay. Do you agree if he wins again on Saturday night, standing room only?
Yeah, for sure. Like it'll be a case of get down to see him because, you know, like Ryan said, he steps back out in the trip where we know that's his bread and butter. So, yeah, cannot wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracker. That is race number 8, the Garrard Sunshine Sprint, the first of 11 kicking off at 5:10. We look forward to seeing you trackside at Albion Park.